All right, so we're diving deep today, folks, into something pretty fascinating, true wealth. And, we've got a masterclass series all teed up for this one.
Excellent.
Yeah, and, it's not your typical how to get rich quick scheme.
Right.
This is about something way, way bigger, like truly living a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And get this, right off the bat, it throws out this question, can money buy happiness? I mean, talk about a hook.
It definitely gets you thinking. It challenges those assumptions we often have about wealth, right?
Totally. And then it hits you with this anecdote early on, and it just stuck with me.
Oh, okay.
So picture this. You're on a beach, sun's out, waves are gently
I
crashing.
like where this is going.
You're surrounded by people you love, just sharing stories and laughter, and you're feeling totally content. Does that to you sound like wealth? It really got me thinking.
Well, it paints a pretty vivid picture, doesn't it? And I think it subtly pushes us towards this idea that true wealth, well, it's multifaceted. It's more than just one thing.
I'm with you.
And in fact, this masterclass, it lays out 5 facets.
Okay, lay it on me.
All right, so we've got financial resources, obviously, but then also health and well-being,
Okay.
relationships and community, personal growth and learning, and finally, purpose and impact. So it's not about checking one box and bam, you've won.
Right, right.
It's about crafting a life that's rich in all of these areas.
Okay, so money's still in the mix.
It is.
But it's just one piece of the puzzle.
One piece, absolutely.
It's almost like, what's a good analogy? It's like that top-of-the-line oven you've always wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing tool, right? But it's useless if you don't know what you're going to bake.
Exactly.
You need the recipe.
You need a plan. You need the ingredients.
And those other facets, those are the recipe, right? Those are the ingredients for a truly fulfilling life.
Absolutely. And, digging into this series explains that financial resources, it's more about that security and freedom.
Right.
So having enough to pursue your goals without constantly stressing over money, that's the foundation.
Gotcha. So it's not about being a millionaire, but having enough to, I don't know, breathe easy.
Right.
Chase those dreams.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about health and well-being? I mean, we all know we should prioritize.
Of course, yeah.
But this masterclass is to go deeper than that, right?
Oh, it absolutely does. It talks about health as the energy source for everything else. It gets into, how chronic stress just drains us and how true well-being fuels our ability to connect with people, to learn, to make a difference.
Oh, wow.
It really is the bedrock.
So it's less about fitting into a certain size
Right.
and more about having the energy to really live life to the fullest.
That's it.
Man, I'm already seeing how these pieces start to fit together.
They really do. And speaking of connection, that's where those relationships, that community piece comes in. And, the series really emphasizes that difference between just being around people and actually cultivating relationships that lift you up, that support you.
That's huge. So how do they suggest you actually build that kind of social capital? Is it just about going to more parties or?
It goes way deeper. It talks about the importance of shared experiences,
Okay.
offering genuine support, and, even just being vulnerable enough to let people in.
Oh, wow.
It's about quality, not quantity, for sure.
Yeah, that really resonates with me because sometimes it feels like we're all so connected online these days.
I know, right?
But true connection is something totally different.
Totally. And that depth of connection, it fuels that next facet, personal growth.
Oh, interesting.
The series argues that when we feel secure and supported, we're way more likely to take risks.
Oh, yeah.
Learn new things, step outside that comfort zone, and basically become the best version of ourselves.
So true wealth isn't about reaching some end point.
No.
It's about always growing and evolving, becoming more U.S.
Precisely. And all of this, it leads beautifully into that final facet, purpose and impact.
Okay, I was waiting for this one.
And the series explains it doesn't have to be about some huge, grandiose mission.
Right.
It's about aligning what you do with what matters most to you.
I hear that, but how do you even figure out what that purpose is?
Well, I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Big time.
But the masterclass, it offers this really interesting perspective. It says, pay attention to what gives you energy.
Okay.
What problems are you just naturally drawn to solving? Even what makes you angry.
Oh, wow.
Those are all clues to where your purpose might be hiding.
That's powerful. It's not like you find it on a mountaintop somewhere.
Right.
It's right there in your everyday reactions.
Absolutely.
Man, I am starting to see how this masterclass brings it all together.
It really does weave a beautiful tapestry.
And speaking of tapestry, didn't they use that metaphor somewhere?
They did. They described it as, each of these facets being like a thread in a tapestry.
Okay.
And the stronger each thread is, the more vibrant, the more resilient that tapestry of your life becomes.
So it's not about picking one area and hyper-focusing on that.
Nope.
It's about recognizing how they all work together, how they support each other.
Exactly. And, that's what's so exciting because improving one area can actually have a ripple effect, right? It
Totally.
can lift up all the other areas as well.
It's like a feedback loop almost.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that interconnectedness and making choices that nourish your well-being on every level.
Man, this is making me think about my tapestry and where I might need to, I don't know, strengthen some threads. What stands out to you so far from this masterclass?
What I find really fascinating is the emphasis on resilience.
Okay, tell me more.
It argues that building true wealth isn't about avoiding hard times. It's about having those strong threads in place. So when things do get tough, you bend, you don't break.
That is such an empowering way to look at it. It's not about seeking constant comfort, but about building that inner strength to handle whatever life throws at you.
Exactly. And you know what? The masterclass even goes into some practical strategies for actually cultivating that resilience. I'm excited to dig into that further in the next part of our deep dive.
This is already blowing my mind, honestly. This isn't just about reaching some random financial goal. It's about creating a life that feels truly fulfilling and resilient.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The masterclass goes on to explore some really powerful strategies for putting these ideas into action. We'll be diving into all of that next time.
I cannot wait. I'm already feeling so inspired to start weaving a more vibrant tapestry for myself. So stay tuned, folks, because in part 2, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of how to actually build true wealth. Welcome back to our deep dive, everyone. Now, in part 1, we really got into those 5 key facets of true wealth.
Right, we talked about finances, health, relationships, personal growth, purpose.
It's not just about money, honey.
Exactly.
It's about weaving all those elements into a life that feels rich and fulfilling and, resilient too.
Yeah, and remember, this isn't just a bunch of theory, right? Your masterclass series, it actually gives some really solid advice on how to cultivate true wealth.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Because it's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're thinking about all these different facets you have to manage.
Yeah, of course.
This masterclass doesn't expect us to turn into Zen masters who also run marathons overnight, does it?
No, not at all. It really emphasizes those small, consistent steps.
Okay, I like that.
Like one of the first things it dives into is investing in your health, but it does it in a way that goes beyond just, salads and gym memberships.
So it's not about achieving some ideal body or anything like that. There's got to be something deeper.
Exactly. It actually uses this really fascinating example of an Olympic athlete who was incredibly fit, right? But they were constantly stressed, pushing their body to the limit.
Oh, wow.
And it pointed out that they weren't truly healthy. They were just, high functioning.
That is a good distinction.
Yeah,
So it's not about outward appearances. It's more about how you actually feel on the inside.
exactly.
Does the masterclass give actual tips for how to bridge that gap?
It does. It talks about tuning into your body's signals, finding joy in movement instead of just, punishing yourself at the gym,
Right.
and prioritizing sleep and managing stress as much as you prioritize, like diet and exercise.
Okay, so it's more holistic.
Yeah, it's about treating your body like an ally, not a machine.
I like that. Sustainable well-being instead of just chasing some, temporary goal.
Exactly.
But what about the social side of things? We talked about relationships a bit in part 1.
Yes.
But, I'm curious to see how they go beyond just saying, be more social.
Right. They actually use this term relational fitness, which I thought was really intriguing.
Oh, interesting.
It's about approaching your relationships with the same intentionality that you might approach your physical fitness.
Oh, I like that.
So making time for them, putting in the effort, and choosing those connections that actually feed your soul.
So you're not just trying to fill up your calendar with social events.
Right.
You're being more intentional about who you spend your time with.
Exactly. And it also talks about the importance of vulnerability,
Okay.
in order to build those really supportive, deep relationships. And, they share this story about a CEO who was super successful but felt incredibly lonely.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't until they started to actually open up to their team about their struggles
Oh, interesting.
that it completely transformed their whole work environment.
That's amazing. It just reminds me that real connection, it comes from being authentic.
Yes,
Not just putting on this perfect facade, right?
exactly.
Okay, so what about for those of us who really love learning new things, always trying to grow? Where does personal growth fit into all of this?
Well, the masterclass makes this really cool connection between personal growth and resilience.
Oh, I like that.
It argues that the more you learn, the more skills you develop, the better you become at adapting to those inevitable changes that life throws your way.
So it's not just about hoarding information.
Right.
It's about building this inner toolkit to help you overcome challenges.
Exactly.
Do they suggest any specific ways to approach learn? Like, do we need to go back to school?
Well, not necessarily. They really emphasize finding what truly excites you.
Oh, okay.
So it could be taking online courses, reading books, going to workshops, or even just having those deep conversations with people who know more than you do.
Yeah,
It's about tapping into that childlike curiosity,
I love that.
not just adding bullet points to your resume.
It should feel like an adventure.
Exactly.
Okay, but what about finding your purpose? Because I don't know about you, but that just feels like such a big, daunting concept.
I agree.
How does the masterclass make that something, actionable?
Well, they offer this really simple yet powerful exercise.
Okay, I'm listening.
They say, make a list of the moments in your life when you felt the most alive, the most energized, most in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then look for the common threads. What were you actually doing in those moments? Who were you with? What values were being expressed?
That is so much easier than trying to figure out your entire life's purpose in one sitting.
Right.
It's just about looking for those little clues that are already there.
Exactly. And, it also reminds us that purpose isn't always about some huge, outward achievement.
Right.
It's about aligning your actions with what feels truly meaningful to you. It could be using your creativity to bring people joy,
Mm-hmm.
or advocating for a cause you believe in, or even just showing up as your most authentic self in your relationships.
Yeah, it's about living with intention,
Exactly.
making choices that resonate with your values, even in the small moments.
You've got it. And you know what? That brings us right back to that tapestry metaphor.
I was just thinking that.
By investing in our health, nourishing those relationships, embracing personal growth, finding that purpose,
Mm-hmm.
we strengthen each of those individual threads, and that, in turn, creates a more vibrant and resilient tapestry. The tapestry of life.
This is really making me realize that true wealth isn't like this destination you arrive at.
No.
It's something you're always working
It's
on.
a process.
It's those daily choices, big and small, that align with those 5 facets.
You're absolutely right. And the masterclass even suggests creating like a true wealth ritual,
Okay, like
a
what?
daily practice that helps you connect with each one of those areas. Could be a morning meditation, a gratitude journal, even just doing a simple act of kindness.
I love that.
It's just a reminder that this isn't about reaching a finish line. It's about making those small, consistent investments in yourself and your life.
Yeah, and actually, before we jump into part 3, there's one question I'm still kind of wrestling with.
What is it?
Well, they keep saying that we can cultivate true wealth even when things are tough, but how do you actually find that resilience when life throws you a curveball?
That's such an important question.
It's easy to say stay positive, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What about when things really get difficult?
And that, my friend, is at the heart of part 3 of your masterclass.
Okay, I'm hooked.
So stay tuned, because we're going to go deep into how to build that unshakable resilience.
Yes.
And how to find true wealth even when things get stormy.
And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into true wealth. Man, this has been quite a journey so far.
It really has.
We've covered those 5 key facets, gotten some amazing practical tips from the masterclass. I feel like we're really getting somewhere.
Absolutely.
But if I remember correctly, we kind of left off on a bit of a cliffhanger.
We did.
How do we actually cultivate true wealth when, life throws those inevitable curveballs our way?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right, because it's easy to talk about all this well-being and purpose when everything's going great.
Of course, yeah.
But what about when we're facing some real challenges?
Right?
Does the masterclass actually give us any guidance on how to, navigate those tougher times?
It absolutely does. In fact, there's a whole section dedicated to building resilience, which it argues is essential for really experiencing true wealth in a lasting way.
Okay, so resilience isn't just about bouncing back from setbacks. It's about actually thriving even when things are difficult.
That's exactly it. And, they use this really striking metaphor.
Okay, hit me with it.
They talk about bamboo, how it bends with the wind instead of breaking,
Yeah.
and actually ends up growing stronger because of those challenges.
Wow, that's a powerful image. So how do they connect that to, building resilience in our own lives? Do they give us some concrete tips?
They do, and one of the first things they emphasize is the importance of mindset.
Oh, okay.
It's all about how you frame those challenges, seeing them as opportunities for growth instead of these personal failures.
So it's got shifting our perspective almost.
Exactly.
Seeing obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones on the path to true wealth.
You got it. And they also talk about self-compassion,
Yes.
especially during those difficult times. Just remembering that we're all human. We all mess up sometimes. And it's okay to not always be okay.
Oh, that's so important because it's easy to get down on yourself when things go wrong.
It is.
And that just adds to the stress and makes it harder to, move on.
Exactly.
Does the masterclass give any, specific tips for how to actually practice self-compassion?
Yeah, they do. They suggest things like, treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend.
Oh, that's good.
Practicing gratitude for all the things that are going well in your life.
Okay.
And even just acknowledging your feelings without judgment.
Those are great reminders. But what about when the challenges aren't even something we've done? What about a job loss or a health crisis?
Right.
Or even a global pandemic, things that are totally out of our control?
Well, that's where the masterclass really emphasizes the importance of community and connection.
Okay.
It argues that we're not meant to go through tough times alone, and that reaching out for support is a sign of strength, not weakness.
That's so true. Sometimes just knowing you're not alone in something makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Does the masterclass give us any advice on building that kind of supportive community?
Yeah, it encourages us to be really proactive about nurturing those relationships.
Okay.
To ask for help when we need it, which can be hard.
Yeah.
But also to offer support to other people who are struggling. Even joining groups or communities centered around your interests or your values.
I love that. Creating a web of support, because we really are all in this together. But I gotta ask, what about those moments when you're just totally overwhelmed? You don't even know where to turn.
Right.
Does the masterclass have anything to say about those really intense moments of stress or anxiety?
Yeah, they highlight the importance of mindfulness practices. Things like meditation, deep breathing, even just getting out in nature for a bit.
Ah, getting grounded.
Exactly, because those practices, they help calm your nervous system. They give you space to think more clearly.
It's about finding those things that help you stay centered when everything around you feels crazy.
Exactly. And another thing they emphasize is finding meaning and purpose, even when times are tough.
Oh, wow.
Because having that sense of purpose can be such a powerful anchor.
Yeah.
Reminding you what really matters and giving you strength to keep moving forward.
It's about finding that light within, even when the darkness feels really, really heavy. Do they have any advice on how to actually connect with that sense of purpose, especially when you're struggling?
They do. They suggest reflecting on your values, what brings you joy, and finding small ways to bring those things into your life, even amidst the challenges.
Okay, I like that.
It might be spending time with your loved ones, being creative, enjoying nature, just little things that make a big difference.
It's about holding on to those glimmers of light, even when it feels really dark. And, as we're talking about all this, it's hitting me how interconnected all these facets of true wealth are.
You're so right, because the masterclass, it makes it very clear that resilience isn't about just gritting your teeth and powering through.
It's more than that.
You have to draw strength from all those other areas. Your health, your relationships, your growth, your purpose. They work together to create a foundation that can weather any storm.
It's that tapestry metaphor again.
Exactly. The stronger each thread, the more resilient the whole tapestry becomes. And that resilience allows you to experience the richness of each of those facets, even when things are tough. It's really a beautiful cycle.
It really is, and it's so empowering to realize that true wealth isn't something that's just given to you. It's something you create day after day.
Yes, it's about those choices you make, the mindset you cultivate.
This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening. I feel like my whole perspective on what it means to live a truly rich and fulfilling life has shifted.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I hope you're feeling inspired to start weaving your own tapestry of true wealth, one thread at a time.
Absolutely. And I think the perfect way to wrap up this deep dive is with one final thought-provoking question inspired by the masterclass. What experiences make you feel truly alive?
Ooh, good one.
What brings you joy? What gives you that sense of purpose and fulfillment? Think about those experiences and consider how you can weave more of them into your life.
That's a beautiful invitation. And remember, this journey to true wealth, it's an ongoing adventure. Be kind to yourself along the way, celebrate those wins, and never underestimate the power of those small, consistent actions to create a life that's truly rich and meaningful.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into unlocking true wealth. We hope you've walked away with some amazing insights and feel empowered to create a life that's truly fulfilling in every sense of the word.